Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Energy Talk podcast. My name is Oluvumi Olajide, and I am so glad to be here. We're getting towards the end of the year now, and this is one of the closing episodes we have for the podcast. It's been an amazing ride so far, and I want to thank everybody who has listened, sent messages, left reviews. It's meant so much to us. In the next episode, we're going to be having a bonus episode where we just talk and lay down the plans for the new year. But today, let's focus on the conversation today. We're speaking with Dimitri of the World Resources Institute, and I think I should give a bit of a backstory of how I met Dimitri, or how we got connected. So I think it was after the episode I had with William Brent of Power for All. He reached out to me and he sent me a few links on LinkedIn, and as soon as I went through the work they were doing, I knew that I had to have him on the podcast. So I followed up immediately, sent a link, we got it scheduled, and I have been so excited to have this conversation up because they do something that I think is very important. I don't know if most of you have listened to it, but in the last episode we had Yetunde Fade of Reese Africa, and what they do is rural electrification projects. So they go into rural communities in Nigeria that don't have or have never had access to electricity, and they set up small solar home systems for them. And the project that Dimitri does is very similar to this because it provides information for people who want to go into communities and develop projects like this, develop solar projects, develop any kind of you know what? I think I'm spoiling too much, so I think I should leave a bit for the conversation. So this is my conversation with Dimitrios Mentis of the World Resources Institute, and I am excited to see how you guys like this.
Today I am in Athens, Greece, where I originally come from. I came back here after about 9 years abroad, sometime spent in Stockholm, Sweden, and sometime in Washington, D.C. in the U.S.
Oh wow, that's a pretty long travels. I'm going to ask if you've been to Africa, if you've been to any African countries, but we'll save that. So could you just introduce yourself to the audience before we jump into the conversation for today?
Absolutely. I've had the honor to be in a number of African countries, and I always look forward to coming back. So my name is Dimitrios Mentis. I'm a senior associate at the World Resources Institute. It's a global research organization that focuses on a number of critical issues at the intersection of environment and development, among which is energy access. I joined WRI, the World Resources Institute, exactly 2 years ago, and I'm currently leading the development of a recently launched data initiative. We call it Energy Access Explorer, that aims to connect SDG 7 to sustainable development outcomes. As I mentioned prior to that, I've been in Stockholm, Sweden, with KTH, the Royal Institute of Technology, where I led the Sustainable Energy for All team at the Division of Energy Systems Analysis. There we had the opportunity to work on developing analysis to support the achievement of SDG 7, and personally I had the chance to collaborate with some of the gurus in the energy planning and energy modeling space. In parallel, I carried out my PhD in geospatial electrification modeling and renewable energy resource mapping, and had the opportunity to collaborate with leading organizations in this space. So some of those are the International Energy Agency, the International Renewable Energy Agency, World Bank, SMAP, and a number of UN departments. As part of my PhD, I founded and led the development of an open source spatial electrification tool. We call it Onset SS, which is an innovative electrification tool that is that's currently being used to inform a high-level least-cost electrification planning in a number of countries with high energy access deficit. And before that, I worked on assessing the energy water nexus at different scales, water desalination on island case studies in cooperation with the Hellenic Ministry of Energy, Environment and Climate Change, where we had to tackle the energy and water scarcity issue in the arid Greek islands. And I also did some work in collaboration with colleagues at KTH on assessing the water energy nexus in transboundary river basins in cooperation with the United Nations Economic Commission of Europe, UNEC. Else, I hold a PhD in energy and environmental systems from KTH and a master in sustainable energy engineering from the same university. And my major is in mechanical engineering from the National Technical University of Athens.
That is a very interesting background you have. But first of all, congratulations on your anniversary with the World Resources Institute.
Thank you. It's been exactly 2 years, and it's really fantastic to be with such an organization that is working at the so-called science policy interface. So we are trying to take research to the next level, trying to implement the research that is being carried out either at WRI or in other research organizations. So thanks.
Oh, you're more than welcome. So while we're on this note, could you just tell the listeners and myself a bit more about what the WRI is and what exactly it does? Because I understand that it's not just related to energy access issues; it covers quite a broad range of social and economic even topics as well.
Correct. So it's a research organization or a think tank that basically focuses on a number of critical issues, number 7 in number, and these are at the intersection of environment and development. More specifically, there are programs that work on climate issues. Some are working with food, forests, water, cities, oceans, and I'm with the energy program. And each of these programs develops research-based solutions that create real change on the ground. Now, at the energy program, our vision is to ensure that clean energy is available to everyone, available and affordable to everyone that is currently unserved or underserved. And to do so, we are working closely with the public sector. We're working closely with investors, development finance institutions, and development-oriented institutions, civil society, and we make sure that we build capacity to support energy access investments that alleviate poverty and at the same time promote development. So these are a few words about WRI in general and about the energy program as well as the energy access pillar that I'm working.
Okay, so let's just jump right into the energy access part because this is the energy talk after all, and that's what gets me excited. So, you lead a project called the Energy Access Explorer that was launched sometime in September, and this is an excellent platform that does a whole lot of things very very well. So, could you just explain how the development stage went for that project and what exactly energy the Energy Access Explorer is?
Sure. So we started conceptualizing this new mapping platform a couple of years ago, and the core development started about a year and a half back. And the reasons we initiated the development of this platform are no other than the fact that we still have about 840 million people, which is around 11% of the world's population, without access to electricity. And we know that access is absolutely essential for people to prosper. We need electricity to power our clinics to make sure that there are that the vaccines can be refrigerated, the lights are on, so doctors can perform operations and deliver babies. We need to make sure that electricity is there in school so they can stay open later. They can install computers for students. And of course, we need access to electricity to pump water, increase yield, productivity, and make sure that farmers can keep their food fresher for longer using refrigeration. Now, this is the challenge that we are trying to solve, and data play an important role in the Sustainable Development Agenda, including the 7th Sustainable Development Goal, which concerns a global effort to achieve sustainable energy for all. And here is where policymakers, business leaders, civil society organizations need an easier access to granular energy related information. And this is essential because without this information, we cannot carry out effective planning and make informed decisions. And when I'm referring to granular energy related information, I basically mean local data on both energy demand and supply, which will allow these various stakeholders to better plan for universal access. And at the moment, we still have a major data gap. I need to note that the majority of electrification planning tools, although they provide useful high-level insights about cost-optimal technology and investment outlooks on reaching universal access via grid connections or mini-grid and standalone systems, they focus mostly on the supply side of energy access. But similar to most products, similar to most industries, we need to understand better the customers' needs, whether these customers are households or institutional loads such as healthcare facilities and education facilities, etc. And if we understand better the customer's needs, we will be able to design more affordable and viable electrification strategies for both the consumers and the utilities. And to bridge this energy access data gap between the demand related data and data on supply, we collaborate with several local partners and stakeholders and have been developing this new platform, Energy Access Explorer, which is online. It's open source and it's interactive and provides data and analytical tools that are necessary to increase access to affordable and reliable energy for the unserved and underserved areas in the world.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the listeners if it's at all possible for you while you're listening to this to have the Energy Access Explorer open somewhere. So just Google it. It's the first result you find, and you really have to see this for yourself because it's quite a feat what you guys have accomplished. So it focuses on East Africa and it just covers 3 countries. So those 3 countries are Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. And these 3 countries alone make up 14% of the people in sub-Saharan Africa that do not have access to electricity. And the amount of information that you guys collect is quite amazing because it's it just shows how much thought process went into the process of this project because there is, as you said, that there is indeed a data gap in terms of development of sustainable development and renewable energy projects. But you guys have done such a good job to collect not just data that people would think about regularly, like what percentage of places have the best potential for solar, for instance. But you went in detail to find out how many of the percentage of people have radios, where the hospitals are, where the schools are, and how many of them have rooftops that are good enough to have solar panels on. And all these little things that just add up and you just wonder like why hasn't this been here before. So much congratulations to you and your team for pulling that off. But you mentioned a bit about this data gap and how about how you guys collected it. Did you guys start off with the scope of you knew what you wanted, or has the project developed? Did you kind of just add things in to say that okay, we just learned something new about the processes in developing solar projects, for instance, and this needs to be part of a data collection process? But how did that work out during the timeline of the Energy Access Explorer?
Sure. So there are certainly a number of excellent tools and databases available. And before starting the development of Energy Access Explorer, we carried out the scoping phase where we came up with an energy access mapping survey, reached out to about 40 stakeholders and experts from multiple sectors and countries to understand A, what is missing from existing geospatial energy access mapping tools, and B, what are the necessary data, what are the necessary functions that need to be integrated in this new mapping platform, which they call Energy Access Explorer. All these stakeholders and experts indicated that geospatial data, granular data on demographics such as population density, poverty rates, mobile phone coverage, data on social and productive uses such as the location of healthcare facilities, education facilities, agricultural areas, as well as data on energy resource availability, where is the global horizontal and how much is the global horizontal irradiance, the wind speed magnitude, and data on power infrastructure, where is the transmission distribution network located, where do we have power plants and mini grids across geography. They all indicated that these various data are very critical in informing energy access expansion strategies. So this was the first thing that we did before even starting developing the platform, scoping, carrying out a mapping survey. Then we continued engaging with local stakeholders in these three geographies, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania, to make sure that we understand the data and the analytical needs for each specific geography, and to make sure that the tool is relevant and applicable to the local context. And this scoping phase was complemented by a thorough literature review on geospatial tools that are being used to inform energy planning. And so we came up with an alpha version of Energy Access Explorer, which we demonstrated a year ago in all these geographies, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania, got feedback and continued developing until we launched the beta version a couple of months ago.
Okay. So as I understand, you were not just involved in the administrative side, you were very, very involved with the technical side of this project, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So you know better who these projects was designed for. So on this podcast, and with my colleague as well, Jennifer, she's done lots of projects with companies in rural areas about rural electrification and solar projects. And the one thing we discuss about is when developers come in with an idea of they have a solution that just fits in anywhere, regardless of context, environment, and solutions. And most of the time, the projects end up failing, not because they didn't have good intentions or they didn't have good equipment, but because they lacked a basic understanding of the communities they were going into. And it's such a diverse problem that you need diverse solutions to fix. But taking the time out to get the data to do the research is something that most companies admittedly don't have the resources or manpower to do. So this platform really is a game changer in so many ways. So while this project was launched in September, and so far it's been about 2 months now, how has the usage been on the platform, and who do you think have been benefiting from it more? Because I have a friend who is a PhD researcher, and when I told him that I was having an interview with you, and I told him the platform, he told me that he was using it for his PhD research as we speak. So that just shows you the broad scope of people that are benefiting. But I want to hear from you, because you have the data, you have the back end stuff. So how is it looking for the usage, and who are the people benefiting most from the Energy Access Explorer?
Thanks for this question, Olu. This is actually a great one. First of all, I'm really happy to hear about your friend who is carrying out his PhD. I have to wish him the best of him or her, the best of luck for this endeavor. And I'm really happy to hear that he is planning to use this platform to inform his research and work. And this is, this is something important for us, WRI, and partners to hear. And this is why we designed the platform to be open source and open access, where researchers in any place in the world can basically access the tool and run an online analysis using the data and the functions that are already available there. You mentioned something very important about the different uses and users of the platform. And the energy access challenge and issue is a multifaceted one. And there are really different points of view and different perspectives based on what you're trying to achieve in this energy access space. So we had in mind the various perspectives of the involved stakeholders and actors, and we designed Energy Access Explorer to be a modular tool that actually considers the multidimensionality of energy access, and that's why it synthesizes and analyzes several spatial data on both demand and supply, and allows the users to select the data of interest in order to come up with findings that are relevant for their work. And let me be a little bit more specific about who can use the platform and who has been benefiting from this. So first, I should say something about what the users can do. They can interact with the platform in various ways. So they can select and overlay data. They can apply buffer zones, and they can weigh the importance of data and carry out a high-resolution multi-criteria analysis on the fly. So you don't need to install any GIS software. You don't need to be a GIS expert. GIS stands for Geospatial or Geographic Information Systems. And for every square kilometer in the select geographies, the tool provides a number of analytical outputs at the moment that indicate low-hanging fruit areas where access should be expanded or prioritized, areas with higher potential demand, areas with higher potential supply, as well as areas where assistance to external finance may be needed the most. So users are able to customize their analysis to identify areas where access can be expanded based on their perspective. And their perspective can be different. So the use of this platform enables strategic energy planning, where electrification planning agencies such as the Ministry of Energy, Rural Energy Agency, and utilities can link electrification and development that meet the people's needs. Basically, you can use the platform to understand which areas are being connected to the transmission distribution network, which areas are far from the transmission distribution network and may have, let's say, some potential social loads, healthcare facilities that are unserved or underserved, and identify what is the optimal way to supply electricity in these areas. So, user group number one, energy planning institutions. The second user group is clean energy entrepreneurs, where they can use the platform to get a better understanding of aspects of affordability and the level of service needed to make sure they expand their businesses in areas where it makes the most economic sense. Lastly, we have donors and development actors that can use the platform to articulate energy needs and identify areas where grants and or support will have the most impact. I can refer to an example, if you like, the example of Uganda, where our collaboration with local partners and stakeholders has been key to ensure that the tool is relevant to the local context. So in Uganda, we partner with an impressive group. It's called Energy Sector GIS Working Group, and this is a group of engineers and GIS associates from all key energy planning institutions and utilities in the country. And this group has developed an online portal to host and visualize the latest transmission, distribution, and generation data available in the country. Now, these data are, of course, very important, but they only refer to or help us understand the supply side of the energy access issue. So what we do is we take this data and integrate in Energy Access Explorer and overlay with data on demographics, data on social and productive uses of electricity and energy resource availability. And users can carry out this custom high-resolution, on-the-fly multi-criteria analysis to identify areas of interest. For example, unserved health clinics that are far from the distribution network, or areas where solar home systems may be expanded, or poor areas with high irrigation and solar potential, right? And so this is one type of collaboration in Uganda. Now, with an eye to the multidisciplinary nature of this work, we collaborate with development-oriented organizations in the health, education, and agriculture sectors to help them, as I said earlier, articulate their electricity needs and attract the needed investments to integrate clean electricity into their operations. For example, we collaborate with the humanitarian OpenStreetMap team and the Ministry of Health to unlock important granular data on the energy education and energy health nexus. For example, where are the unelectrified health clinics, and what is the potential electricity requirement of those in order to basically come up with a cost optimal system size and technological solution to provide electricity, basically.
That is quite a group, and that just shows the broad scope of the amount of people that have the potential to use this tool. So, speaking about potential, I have to go into what the future plans of this project are going to look like, because right now it just covers 3 countries, and as you know, sub-Saharan Africa is the region where it's I think IEA put out a energy outlook earlier this year, and it was basically saying that sub-Saharan Africa is the region that will get electrified last. And with slower development comes just a host of other things. I had a conversation with Dr. Victoria, who she's also from Uganda, and she was telling me that some hospitals have to perform surgery by candlelight. And we can imagine how all these things accelerate with climate change coming into effect. And they just don't have the infrastructure in place to deal with many of the issues that could be coming at them in the next few years. So there are lots of other areas, especially in the Central Africa, but they have a host of other problems that can make it very difficult to collect data, especially maybe Congo comes to mind as having one of the lowest electrification rates. I think it's about like very, very low. I don't want to put a number out there, but I'm sure it's less than 10%. And you have all these other regions that could use a project like this. So what's the future of the Energy Access Explorer looking like? Because I understand now it's still in the beta phase. So what is the next stage of development for this project?
This is an excellent question. First, I have to say that we really welcome other institutions and partners in this initiative. This is a product that is being co-created by a number of partnering institutions. It's not just the World Resources Institute that leads the development of Energy Access Explorer. This wouldn't have been realized without without the significant contributions of a number of stakeholders and partners. And we welcome other institutions in this. We warmly welcome other institutions in this initiative from other countries to further expand the platform to include other geographies. Now, in terms of plans for the future. Although the platform although Energy Access Explorer attempts to aggregate most geospatial data on demand and supply, there is certainly room for continuous improvement. This is just the beta we launched. So Energy Access Explorer will be enhanced as more granular or new data and analysis become available. I need to note that the web infrastructure of Energy Access Explorer is geography agnostic. And this means that other geographies can be added to the platform, and this is much thanks to the modular structure of this infrastructure, and which can be tailored to accommodate country-specific data needs and GIS functions, and can be actually expanded to include other geographies. In the coming year, we plan to host data and analysis for other geographies in sub-Saharan African region and India. I think it's 6 countries in sub-Saharan Africa a couple of subnational regions, and also a couple of states in India. In a parallel effort, we currently collaborate with World Bank, KTH, the University of Cambridge, Google, ABB, Development Seed, and a few other partners to develop a least cost electrification platform which provides technology and investment outlooks on expanding access through on grid, mini grid, and standalone systems. And these outputs can also be integrated in Energy Access Explorer to allow users further refine their multi-criteria analysis by adding granular cost data. So, what is the levelized cost of generating electricity with a mini grid system versus standalone system versus expanding the grid's network? Furthermore, we work with a number of partners on developing GIS based assessments that estimate latent demand for health, education, and agricultural activities. And this will also be incorporated in Energy Access Explorer in the coming year. Our vision is to not only create this platform together with stakeholders, but also transfer knowledge and eventually share administrator rights with key institutions in the geographies we have engagements. And this is important for the longevity of the platform. We will not be able to maintain and update data for all geographies as we expand Energy Access Explorer to include other countries, and that's why we want to share administrator rights with key institutions in each country and geography. And this is something that will help, or this platform is something that will help key institutions, key planning institutions, such as the Ministry of Energy or Rural Energy Agency and other planning authorities, reduce high transaction costs for aggregating data and for sharing data. And it will be a tool that reflects the needs of the local users. Because right now, if you don't have a system that synthesizes data from different databases, an analyst needs to, a GIS analyst needs to spend quite some time to A, collect data, B, harmonize this data, C, analyze, and then carry out, let's say, a geospatial assessment to identify areas of interest. Now, what we're offering is a platform which is open source and can be further modified that can synthesize all this data and carry out a geospatial analysis on the fly without without requiring someone to be a GIS expert, without requiring someone to go through this very long process of collecting data and sharing data. As for the accessibility of the tool, as I mentioned, the source code is open and a public version is available with open access data, and this will always be the case. However, key institutional users and administrators will have the possibility to run a password protected or an offline version if they would like to analyze any sensitive data. So we would like to offer this possibility without any extra cost to key institutional users and administrators. And that's why it's important to build capacity and to transfer this knowledge so we can actually share this administrator right. So an analyst in, let's say, the Ministry of Energy in Uganda or the Rural Energy Agency in Nigeria can update data when new data become available, can modify the visualizations, etc. These are the immediate, let's say, plans for the short to medium term future of the project.
You're going to have a very interesting couple of months and couple of years ahead of you with the scope plan for this project, and I am honestly excited to hear about this because I have spoken to lots of people, so I understand what access to information can do and the difference that can make. And I'm sure if there are any people at research institutions listening right now, they're definitely taking note. And just to show you what the difference access to information can have. I saw this story earlier this year about this man who started a renewable energy company in Sudan, and because people didn't really have enough money to pay for solar home systems, he realized that majority of the families and households had a lot of goats. So his brilliant marketing idea was to trade solar home systems for goats. And it's such a unique, funny story, but that just shows you how
It is.
creative you can be once you know, once you have information, because you can apply it in any way you want rather than just going in blind and just thinking you have the solution to people's problem without actually knowing what their problems are. So that is the difference this can make. It really drives people to come up with customized solutions for different regions that make people understand that, okay, this is something that is good for us, and more importantly, it's something that we can afford. And that is what we need going forward, because 600 million people, that's a lot of people, and it's going to take a lot of effort to just bring them out. And as you said, this project is going out of Africa as well and going into India, because that's a very, very good news as well. So I am genuinely excited, and I wish you and your team the best of luck with this project, because it's going to be quite exciting to see how it grows and develops. I hope maybe in a few months we can have a follow up to this to find out how the Energy Access Explorer is, maybe when it gets out of the beta stage.
Thank you very much, Olu, and really looking forward to reconnecting with you. It's been a great pleasure, and I'm definitely open to hear from your audience. Please feel free to write to us at WRI. We are happy to connect and increase the number of partners in these initiatives. We definitely want to co-create this platform, listen and learn more from you about what the data needs are, what the problems you are trying to solve with data maybe, and think together about the best ways to use granular information in order to identify a areas of interest, and b the best solutions that take into account the geography dimension of or the spatial dimension of energy access.
Very good. And for everyone listening, just so you know, all the information about contacting Dimitri and the World Resources Institute and the link to the Energy Access Explorer will all be in the description of this episode. So I encourage you, when you're done listening or while you're listening, just check it out. Contact them. Dimitri is a very nice guy, and I'm sure you would love meeting him as well. So before I let you go, I just want to get your take about everything that's happening. It's been a very eventful time, the last 2 years, especially for energy and for energy access and climate change. And there are more people there are more people now having conversations, and the conversations tend to go in different directions. And you have young people coming into the conversations, which I think is a very key part, because young people are bringing in their own drive to drive at solutions and start companies and start foundations and start organizations that tackle specific problems. And you have been in this field. You have been working with organizations that also have the same goals, not just covering energy, but covering a host of other issues as well. So what's your advice to young people as they come into the industry and as they're trying to deal with the world as it is, or just professionals or people? So what is your closing remark on the energy transition and the way forward for us?
My advice, Olu, would be to try as much as possible to work together with colleagues from other institutions. Try not to reinvent the wheel. Try not to duplicate efforts. It's about time to work together. This will make us work effectively towards our common goals. So it's about time to basically join forces. The problem of energy access is a very large one, and I think there is space for many organizations, many entrepreneurs, many development finance institutions, many donors, many civil society organizations to contribute to this problem. And this is the approach that we are following at WRI. We really want to co-create this platform. We really want to co-create analysis, and want to have a platform that reflects the user needs, reflects the needs of local stakeholders, and will be a tool that will actually be used, because it's actually being co-created by these people that make decisions. Whether these decisions are related to expanding the national power infrastructure, or setting up a mini grid, or setting up a solar home system, etc. Right? And as for the younger generation, there is much space and many ideas on how to develop this work further. Happy to share these ideas. We are, of course, happy to supervise researchers, or master thesis students and PhD, or co-supervise students, and add relevant analysis, or integrate relevant analysis in the platform. So you're welcome to reach out and have a more detailed conversation about some research ideas, or even how your industry and your business can use the platform to inform your operations, etc.
Thank you so much for sharing. Dimitri, it's been wonderful having you on the conversation. Thank you again for giving this time. Thank you again for you and your team for the work you're doing. I hope you guys don't relent, and I hope it becomes a resounding success in the next few months, in the next few years, and many more people find more ways to use your platform, and we hear lots of different stories about success stories in the near future, hopefully.
Thanks, Ole, and you're giving me also the opportunity to thank the wonderful team. Actually, team is an acronym which stands for the Energy Access Mapping Team. I really have to compliment all the hard work that the team at WRI and the partners have put to realize this initiative. And it's been a great honor to have the opportunity to collaborate with a number of great and passionate colleagues, but also a number of mission-oriented stakeholders and partners in this field.
I told you guys this was going to be a special episode. And I just want to thank Dimitri and his team, or the team, for all the work they're doing with the Energy Access Explorer. And if you want any information, this is all going to be in the description, how you can reach out with Dimitri. He's a very pleasant person, and he'll be happy to answer most of the questions that you guys have. And if you're thinking about incorporating the work that you're doing with the listeners, you can reach out to him, and they're very open to partnership, as he said during the interview. So that is something that I really encourage. This is a community after all, and I would love for us to get talking and find ways where we can help each other. And throughout this episode, I hope you could hear how passionate we both were about talking about this. So this is really something that has really made me very grateful about starting the podcast. I don't know why I'm in this mood, maybe because the year is closing out, but it's really put me in a position of privilege where I get to speak with people who are deeply passionate about the work they're doing. People doing really important work, tackling issues of energy access, energy security, climate change. And you just see how different people have very, very strong motivations for the work they're doing, and it encourages you to push on with what you're doing and with what the goals you set out for yourself. So if you listen to this and you have anything that you're planning to do, whether it has to do with climate change or it has to do with energy, I encourage you to go for it. Reach out to me, reach out to any one of our guests. This is a community where we want to encourage people to speak out and to really do work that matters and that you're passionate about. Because I think that is what would help the next generation and our generation to get through the energy transition and to make sense of this changing world that we're in. So thank you so much for being with me again this week. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter to continue the conversation, and Instagram. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Olubumi Olajide. I'll be very happy to hear from you. It was a pleasure. Leave a review if you're on Apple Podcast, or write to us on any other of the listening platforms. And it's been a wonderful year. Thank you guys so much for being such an amazing audience, and I look forward to the next episode. Have a wonderful day.